Yo, what up? Welcome to Mo Boxing No Problem. I'm Ramirez Jr. and I am joined with Nancy from Boxing Republic.
Hi,
how's it going, Nancy?
It's going well. I was so excited. Thank you for the invite, and I'm so glad that we're making it happen, and especially after such a great weekend of boxing. Thank you for having me on.
Likewise, I'm glad you're making it. I think we were trying to get something to the Chocolatito fight scheduled, and life happens. We all get too busy. But
I know. We're
here.
I did wear my Chocolatito t-shirt today, though. So
there you go.
In the spirit of, we've been trying to make it work since. So thank you again.
No problem. And we're going to be talking Ryan Garcia versus Emmanuel Tagoe. That just happened yesterday. What did you think of that fight?
So, it was a good fight. I kind of feel like I don't even know where to begin. I think I'll start backwards, right?
Sure.
And the wrap up, I want to say I was so impressed with Ryan and how he handled himself, thinking through just the maturity that came through out of Ryan. And I wanted to start by mentioning that because I feel like we saw some of that throughout the fight, right? So at the end, you heard him say, I'm not calling out people anymore. He was apologizing, to the fan base, to the fans. But I feel like that this is good. And this Goosen matchup is good. It's good for him. I just was really impressed with that and him being so open, about, hey, y'all, I get it. I understand. Yeah. He didn't say it exactly, but I feel like he said what he said because he knows that people are like, listen, you can't just come back and expect to be given all the big fights. Like, this was a big fight.
Exactly.
But you can't come back and, be the boxing rock star just like that, right? After you've been gone for so long. So I wanted to share that from the end. But in the fight overall, I think he looked really well. I mean, come on, we knew the speed, right, was there. And yeah. I mean, there was no doubt that was going to come through. So I think he looked really, really great. The footwork was good. And it really was a good matchup. The age, I saw Twitter, Twitter, boxing Twitter, they were going off,
of course.
Who's this old man? What kind of matchup is this? It's like, okay, yes, I get it, but it was a good matchup.
It did. I know I was one of the people initially when it was first announced because I really wanted to see Ryan Garcia versus Isaac Cruz.
Yeah.
I wanted to see that matchup.
We might still get it, I feel, because people are asking for it.
I hope so.
People are asking for it. So I think we might see it.
So when Emmanuel Tagoe was announced as the opponent, and you see 31 or 34 fights have been in his native country of Ghana, I was just like, that's a red flag, But Miguel Berchelt versus Nakatila, you see the African fighters, they can bring it. They're tough.
Oh, so absolutely.
I was like, it's probably going to be more competitive. And kind of my impressions from the fight, I know in the beginning it seemed to be very pro Ryan Garcia, the announcers were kind of making fun a little bit of Emmanuel Tagoe and his ring walk taking so long, and they're saying his ring walk was going to be longer than the fight.
That did take a long time though. Come on,
he did.
He was like
first time in the U.S.
He's like kissing babies, shaking hands. He's like I andaba like this.
He was dancing. Yeah, I mean, he fought in the U.S. During the pandemic, but it was no fans. So this was his first time with fans. So he was just like, I'm in the U.S. with fans. So he was, taking up the moment and he did give a good account of himself. Most people probably say that he was running a little too much around the ring, but
yep.
Once he got knocked down from Ryan Garcia, he's like, I can't take too many more of those.
Yeah, you're absolutely right. You saw again, Ryan has the speed. He has an amazing jab. But he was up against an opponent that was, very, how can I put it? He knew how to get into Ryan.
It's crafty.
Crafty is the word. He knew it. He knew exactly. And you know what? When we think about, like you just mentioned, fighters that are, kind of from the same, the culture, descent. I don't know if there's this style, right? There's this style that I feel he was very representative of in the ring against Ryan, which is great, right? So people, I did go back and I did look at some past highlights, just so I could see and familiarize myself with what Ryan was going to be against. And I feel like if you look back, I mean, the guy's a legit fighter. He really was a good matchup. So a couple of things. We saw Ryan's speed. We saw him really be aggressive. So that's what I liked. And I think that is, coming from Goosen. Not that he wasn't aggressive in the past, but if you notice with Goosen, he does coach to the, be the aggressor, like be the one.
He does.
That's kind of the Goosen style. And we saw that. And I don't know about you, I felt like I saw a little Canelo in there. I don't want to cause controversy or, hi, Nancy, but
you got all the Canelo fans coming after you, Nancy.
They're going to, I know. and I like Canelo, right? But I saw, and that's not a bad thing. I'm just saying, I feel like there was some of that Eddie Reynoso camp still in there with him, which is fine. It worked out really, really well. He worked his jab. He had really good footwork. We did see him though. He still got a punch, here or there. He got a hit here or there. Yep. So, I don't want to call it like the ring rust. I think also mentally, like Ryan knew there was a lot. You could tell like he was fighting with the pressure. That's what I wanted to say. Yeah.
Yeah, and I'm glad you started off with kind of backwards and kind of Ryan Garcia now, because I think he created that pressure from the Ryan Garcia before.
Yes.
Being very all the bravado, saying he's the best, all the call outs.
Yes.
And I think he also had a quote saying that he's in boxing to get the knockouts. He's like, if he doesn't get knockouts, he's like, what's the point?
Yeah. Yeah. And like I said, I think we've turned a new page with Ryan. And he's acknowledged that. So clearly, I think he's being surrounded by a team that is supportive. By the way, shout out to Golden Boy, really, for sticking through with Ryan. Okay. I mean, really and truly, you think about it. You had their cash cow Canelo, right? Leave. Bye-bye. And Ryan was supposed to be that new cash cow. Right. And then it's like shortly after Canelo leaves, it's like you had everything that happened. Right. The issues, emotionally, mentally,
mental health,
whatever he was going through, the challenge, Instagram craze and social media following, and
then a hand injury in there.
That's right. And Golden Boy stuck with him. So, that shouldn't go unnoticed. Like, I think that's really great. And I think what we saw is the maturity. We saw the page turn in terms of he's still the same great fighter. Like, I don't feel like I saw something like new out of Ryan other than, like I said, a bit more of the aggressor, which is great. That's a Goosen thing. But he's back. He's back and matured. So that's a good thing. That's a good thing.
Yeah, and I think he should take a couple more fights before he gets to the championship level.
Right.
Against like a Tank, Devin Haney, Cambosa's winner.
Yeah.
Pitbull, Loma. So that's my next question. Like, what do you want Ryan to fight next?
I feel we all want eventually, like the Loma fight would be good. The Tank fight would be good. But he said it himself. He understands that he needs to ease his way. I would like to see him against Pitbull. I think that would be such a good fight. They're both great. I think they both have a lot of power. It would make for a really exciting fight in terms of like selling the fight, promoting the fight. It would, to me, it would be just a little reminiscent of going back to Oscar, the Oscar Chavez, days, right? Where you have, remember that era and you had a lot of people that used to not like Oscar because he wasn't like a real Mexican, right? Because he was American of Mexican descent. And then you had Chavez, right? Who was, Mexican and had that fan base. This would be a little reminiscent of that. Like you would have essentially Pitbull the Chavez, and you have Ryan, the Golden Boy. So that would be pretty cool.
That would be great. I would totally want to see that fight, and I want to remind people that he's only 23 years old, so
that's so important.
We tend to want to rush fighters.
Yes, you're so right. And I think because we've seen so much of him and he's had so much visibility, it's very easy to forget, y'all, he's really young. He's really, really young. I feel like it was just not that long ago that I saw an Ellie Setback video of him, like 12 years old or something. So he is really young. he understands that he needs to take it as it should, which would be he took this fight, maybe like, I don't know, like make me like a Pitbull, not to make less of Pitbull, but I feel like he's more of a fight. I'm trying to think who else. I mean, do we have JoJo in there?
Yeah,
right?
Absolutely. I was going to mention like the people that previously were signed up, because I think JoJo signed up to fight Ryan Garcia before the hand injury.
Right.
And then Javier Fortuna is an option as well, because Javier Fortuna was going to fight him before the mental, issues he was dealing with.
Yeah. I guess, so let's think about those three, right? And again, not making less of them, but when I think the bigger ones, right, it's going to be the Loma, it's going to be the Tank, which would be fantastic fights. But I think, it would be nice to see, like a JoJo, like a Pitbull as those initial, fights coming into 2022. But, it was here in Texas. It was in San Antonio, which unfortunately I couldn't make. I really wanted to be there, but he has a really, really strong fan base. So we know he can bring in the numbers. We know that he can bring in, the viewers, the fans. And he proved that he still does, right? So it was such a good fight. I felt also, I don't know what you think, but even in the corner, it was a bit more, how can I put it? Like, I felt like it was a bit more calm. Like it was
absolutely
right. Like it was like calm. He wasn't like all shaky or not shaky, but how can I put it? Like there was no show of like anxiety. There was like some calmness. And I think again, that's, he's in a good place. I was happy about the Goosen matchup. I don't know what your thoughts were, but I was happy when I heard, that he was going to go with Goosen. I was like, you know what? That's a really good match. That's what he needs,
Yeah, I agree. I think just being part of Canelo and that Canelo team, that adds even more pressure. So I think at his young age, he needs to kind of just branch out and find himself, which he obviously has now. And Goosen, even before he became his coach, was very fond of Ryan Garcia and his skill set.
Yeah,
I think he said when Ryan Garcia is on, there's no one that can beat him in the lightweight division.
Yeah,
and that was like 2 years ago. Yeah. So now that he's his coach, I think he has his best in mind. And one thing that Joe Goosen's also really good at is teaching his fighters inside game. So I think Ryan Garcia, if he learns that, it's going to take him to the next level.
Yeah, I agree with you. What a lot of people don't know is that he and Goosen already had a friendship, from years prior. So you mentioning that, a lot of people, think that, oh, this was just a matchup. They're just getting to know each other. Not at all. There was already a relationship there. So that, that I think was good. It was someone that already knew him. And it's going to be good. I personally, though, I was hoping that they would both come out with like denim outfits.
That'd been cool.
I was like, first of all, Goosen in the denim, right? I was telling someone, he probably has like a little craft room in his house, and he has like the little bedazzler, and he blings out his denim himself. Who knows? But I was hoping that they'd come out, like with a denim robe, and anyway, I was hoping for that.
I thought Ryan picked it out, but then since Ryan didn't have a denim suit, I was like, hey, that was totally Goosen's idea.
Yeah, absolutely. He's in a good place. So we saw him still, with again, really, really great job. His speed is absolutely there. The footwork, phenomenal. It was just a solid win for him. It was a solid fight for him, and it was a really nice comeback performance for him. I wondered, because it did go, the full rounds. I wondered, what was the game plan there? Because yes, he's looking for the knockout. He talks about looking to knock people out. For a minute there, I thought, I know he's probably also thinking about putting a show on for his fans, right? He's been away for over a year. It wasn't a year; it's been over a year, because it was January,
That's true.
of last year.
Yeah.
So it's been over a year. And so I also thought to myself, I think he's also thinking through, I need to put on this show. Like, people are here for my comeback, and, and he did. He put on a good show.
Yeah, and I think, like you said, the important thing is that he got this one out of the way now. So all the return talk will be done. Yes, there's going to be some backlash because saying like he should have taken Tagoe out of there.
Yes. Imagine how he's
especially because he knocked him
feeling.
down.
Right. Imagine how he's feeling. All that pressure, all, everything he's gone through, and then coming back, it's like, oh, okay, like, yeah, I'm back. It's out of the way. Let's move forward. But I just go back to what I was telling you. I was really impressed with how he handled the post-fight interview, just really showing a level of maturity that I was hoping for after everything he went through. Because the Instagram challenge stuff that he does, I'm like, oh, come on, him and Teofimo, it's ridiculous. You can get your visibility, through the work you do in the ring. And yes, you got to sell yourself and all that, but Ryan's there. It's like, you don't need to keep doing those things, to have a following. Like, he's got it now. Be serious about your craft,
Yeah. And if he does that, he'll win over the hardcore fans, no doubt.
Yeah. Do you think, so he's gained a lot of the Instagram follower, the YouTubers, let's call them, right? I call them the YouTubers. Yeah. He's gained a big fan base there, right? But do you think, that after this, that boxing, like the true, the boxing heads, like the me and yous of the world, are really now going to take him serious, like he's back and they're going to take him serious?
I don't think based on this performance, because everyone wanted the knockout.
Yeah.
But I do think that there'll be less pressure on him now. So, the expectations are going to be a lot less for him. Mm-hmm. So I think he can now pave his own lane, and he's probably 1 or 2 fights from gaining the hardcore fans. Yeah. If he fights an Icy Cruz and wins, everyone's going to be on board and say he's legit. He's the real deal.
Yeah. And and I've said this before, I've liked Ryan, for years now, right? I do like the kid, and I say the kid because, to me, he's 23. He's a kid. So I followed him for some time, and I really like him. He is a good kid. I think that he does have, he's had support around him. He just had to go through what he was going through. It was great to see his brother there and his dad there, in support. So he's got a good support system. I hope what was going on is out of his system, and he's ready, like you were saying, just to focus on being taken seriously. Because he needs that. Yep.
Yeah, and one more thing, and he said a quote recently that's actually super true. So his last win before Tagoe was Luke Campbell, who's in Olympic gold medalist. Yeah. Very talented skill set. Gave Loma a very good fight when they met. And Ryan Garcia says you don't beat someone like Luke Campbell doing speed drill videos and body shot challenges. Right.
Yes.
Ryan Garcia has talent, and I think he just needs to, fight the right opponent to bring the best out of him and win over the hardcore fans. Yeah. Tagoe was one to kind of shake the ring rust off and deal it out. Yeah. I think the next one's going to be, a more legitimate threat, a JoJo, a Fortuna type fighter. Yep. Maybe even Linares, Jorge Linares could be someone he fights.
That would be a good fight. I like Linares. Yeah. Mm-hmm. I have to tell you that if I had to pick there, I would lean heavily.
Tough one.
Oh yeah, that would be hard because I like Ryan, but Linares is good, man. And his last fight, he looked solid. He looked really good. That would be good too. Yep, that would be good too. But I'm okay with a JoJo Pitbull fight up next. Kind of I would have them on deck before we move forward with some of the what I would say bigger names. Again, not to make less, right? But you know what I mean. Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
Absolutely. The next step for going after the champions and the top 5 in the division.
Yeah. Sure. And I just again I hope I continue to see the support from Golden Boy, right? For Ryan, and it's great to see that he has their back, and that was good, because how easy could it have been to just be like, you know what, there's a risk here with this kid, right? What is he doing? He was I think at one point he had, I might be wrong, I don't know if it was Nike, Gatorade, he had all these big name brand sponsors. I don't know how many have stuck with him, because these sponsorships, these big names, they're sponsoring you because you're fighting, right?
Yeah, they got to see returns.
They got to see returns. I mean, I'm telling you, if I'm going to sponsor you, like, I need to see you in the ring. Like, that's why I'm putting my money out, right? And it was a good year of sponsors not seeing that. So I haven't gone to see like who's stuck with him, but he needs to remember that people are investing in him, and people are putting their money on him. So he needs to take it serious. He needs to take it serious. And again, he just looked good. He looked solid. He's big. He's a big guy. Like, seeing that fight, it's not that, his name, how do I say it? Tagoe?
Tagoe. Mm-hmm.
It's not that Tagoe was, how can I put it? Like, something to sneeze at. I mean, it's just a reminder that Ryan's a big guy, Ryan's a big guy, and you saw that presence in the ring, and he has that to his advantage too. So when you think of Ryan, he's really like, the package, he's got the presence, right? And the, how can I put it? Like the, charisma. He's got the
absolutely.
He's got the charisma, right? So you got that to sell the fights, right? And then you got the skill, and he's got the presence in the ring. I mean, he's a full package there, and let's just hope they keep managing him well, into 2022. That he fights. That's another thing, right? Talking about what some people
fights regularly.
The Canelo footprint, right? Like, we need to make sure that he's in the ring, at least maybe 4 times this year, 3-4 times. He has to.
Agreed.
He that's like a must. This year we need to see him, at least 3 more times.
Agreed. Well, I'm excited to see what Golden Boy has next for him.
I know, me too. We'll see. And we'll wait for it to come officially from them, because how boxing Twitter with their Twitter novelas, you can.
Yeah. Absolutely.
They come out with so many, you just never know what to believe anymore.
Yes, I know that all too well.
Yes.
All right, Nancy. Well, before we wrap up the video, why don't you tell our listeners and viewers where they can find you? Well,
again, I just want to thank you so much. I really appreciate the invitation, and that we were finally able to make this happen. So thank you. So again, I'm Nancy, and I'm with Boxing Republic. I'm on a mission to actually build out a nonprofit 501c3 to give back to the community, not just the boxing community, but the community in general. One of the things I'll be focused on is providing financial education to teenagers that are in the juvenile system. I've been in the banking industry for 22 years, and I love boxing. So I thought, hey, I can put those together. And I am under Boxing Republic in Twitter, in Facebook, Instagram. And you can also shoot me an email at nancy@boxingrepublic.org.
That's a wonderful mission, Nancy. And I'll make sure to leave your Instagram handle on the description of the video.
Thank you so much. Again, thank you. This is my therapy. Boxing's my therapy. This is like, right? Like this.
Likewise.
This is like my thing. Everybody has their thing. Some people go golfing. Some people go fishing. I watch boxing.
And like I say, more boxing is no problem.
That's right. So
bring on the fights.
That's right.
Well, Nancy, thank you so much.
Thank you.
Catch you again for another big fight.
No, thanks again. Talk to you soon. Bye-bye.
Talk to you soon. Bye.